We're recording. We're having a great time in this quarantine.
Yep.
How are you holding up mentally?
Um.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. To an introduction, rather
Yeah.
than we both just collapse on.
This
Yeah.
is Film Mistreatment Podcast. I am Matt. I'm
I'm-
joined with Dill.
Hey.
Sorry, I kind of cut across.
No, that's fine. Yeah. No. What we do basically, each kind of episode is around. We have a scenario where we kind of pick something from a film or a kind of film that we want to talk about, and then we'll try and replace characters or actors in the film just as a way to kind of have a bouncing off point for the discussion. Usually have a bit of a laugh as well because we kind of end up with some out there names like
Yeah.
our dream team for the John Wick scenario,
Ah, yeah.
which turned out to be Matilda and
What a film that'd be.
Kevin. Is it Kevin? Am I
Yeah,
blanking
Kevin
on his name?
McAllister.
Kevin McAllister, that's it, from Home Alone.
Also, if you kind of want to see a little bit more of an upbeat version of this, we do have a video version on our YouTube channel. You can
Yeah,
find us
where we
quickly.
just put clips over when we throw like 100 different names at people in 10 minutes and just help us put some names, like faces to the names, should say.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, anyway, so how you doing in the quarantine?
No, yeah, it's been weird. I'm kind of relieved we've got this kind of work to occupy ourselves, because if I didn't have something to try and focus on, I think I'd lose it, because I can't really... I've been trying to read, but it's just hard to kind of concentrate. I haven't really wanted to get into any TV series or anything, so
Yeah.
it's just the using, like, the occupying your time I think a lot of people are struggling with. But trying to keep thinking about stuff to do for us, and we're trying to keep uploading things daily and everything like that, so we're keeping ourselves kind of under enough pressure to keep you distracted.
Yeah. Yeah.
That wouldn't be a recommendation for everyone, but I do really
Yeah,
think
keep
it's
busy.
like,
Keep
yeah,
doing
keep
stuff.
busy. And if you want to do anything creative now's, there's no better opportunity, like we've been saying to everybody. So, get out there, do it. If you want to start a side business or whatever, do the research, do the prep now.
If
But,
you have the money.
well, yeah, but or just the kind of time beforehand. Now you've got the time. That's the kind of most important thing for a lot of it.
Yeah.
So no, it's one of those that it's been very weird, and we've each had kind of like major things going on in our lives beforehand, but it seems to have worked out to kind of put us in a good position to really get our heads down and start smashing through some
Yeah,
work
exactly.
stuff once we can leave the building, which is a beautiful day to think about.
I've been fully taking advantage of this exercise thing.
Yeah, we've had like 4 days good weather here in Manchester in England, so
I am
there's been a lot
Burnt
of
to a crisp.
there's a lot of just walking aimlessly going on. We knew it wouldn't last though, and today obviously we woke up and it's miserable as
Yeah,
usual.
today's a
So
bit miserable.
yeah, don't want to go outside. So we thought we'd stay in, watch a film, which turned
See, I
out to
do
be.
want to go outside. Now I've got into a routine of doing my walks and
But
stuff.
you look outside and you're just
Ah.
like, no, I don't think I want to.
I might not sweat as much though.
I don't think
Could be optimum walking / jogging
that's
temperature.
true. But it's just such a mood thing for me. When I'm in the sun, it's just
Ah, it's
like
great. I love
when
it.
you've literally got the sun on you. Like, that's the thing with being hot around Manchester, is that it's not hot, it's just the sun is directly on you. You realise when you step into any shade and you're like, oh, it's just an average kind of day. But because the sun's actually out, you feel like you're boiling.
And then you really got to go for it. It's the reason why we have such a good pub culture around here.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
soon as the sun comes out, it's everyone to the pub!
Yeah, and it's like there's no guilt about it. There's no like, oh, because everyone's like, it's limited. We're going to have a few days of this probably, so let's
we
just
have
unleash.
to milk it for all it's
Yeah,
worth.
exactly. Get sunburn, get like crates and sit in parks and stuff, and the usual. It's like a real community experience. The grotty kind of British summer.
A grotty experience.
Yeah. But no, yeah, so kind of as part of the podcast as well, one thing we do is we tend to start an episode with what we call like a hot take, but just something to do with film or cinema, usually related to the episode we're doing, where we kind of
Sometimes.
okay, sometimes yeah, that's true.
I can
We've only
do my
done,
hot
like,
take
4.
that's to do with this, I guess. to be
Yeah, it
fair.
doesn't have to be at all, and we end each one with a recommendation, which we talk about the next episode. So yeah, this brings me to my point, which is, Matt, it was your recommendation last week. What did you make us watch?
I made us watch Mandy. It was. I had such high hopes for Nicolas Cage. I always do. I think he's great.
You watched the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer looked really good. Like, it was very kind of not lightning, bloody hell. There was a lot of different light situations kind of going on. It seemed very like action paced and like a kind of revenge story. I was like, oh, here we go, classic Nick Cage coming back. I think it came out like 2018, so it's
Yeah.
quite recent. And it was wank.
It was 2 hours and 1 minute, and in all honesty, if we were to recommend it, which we wouldn't, I would say like go skip the first hour entirely.
Yes, get the first hour.
They do a lot
entirely.
of stuff with lighting and post effects, and if you like seeing groovy stuff on screen, then there's stuff going on. But honestly,
I
from
wouldn't
a
call it that.
well, I mean, like that's kind of what they're going for, though, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like light, like kind of and trippy effects and things like that. But from the first hour, after that first establishing hour, which is just incredibly slow paced and just a lot of.
I wouldn't again, we were talking about it just before because we've literally just kind of finished watching it. I wouldn't even recommend it based on
I
that.
wouldn't know, but I think honestly, there's maybe 4 good scenes. There's at least 4 or 5 times where we cracked up, and again, it might not be intentional.
It was very unintentional.
Some of them might be
direction.
intentional, but honestly, like cracked up in a way where I'd want somebody else to experience that because it's just funny, and maybe it wouldn't be as powerful without the fact that I'd been bored senseless for the 40 minutes before. But there were occasional just weird, like, out-of-place moments and kind of, like, where it crosses the line between, like, super dark and super just, it's not even real anymore funny. So it was a weird one to try and... definitely couldn't recommend it. There's also some kind of nudity nobody wants.
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't have wanted if that was that
warning.
guy. I mean, come on, mate.
It's not the kind of nudity you'd usually expect in any kind of film.
No.
It's big dong. Actually, not a big dong.
It's not a big dong.
It's average dong.
The soundtrack is kind of one of the better things about it, I'd say. Very inspired by kind of drive, ambient, electronic kind of... it's you can sense a lot of the kind of actions driven by the music.
I tell you what would be a good way to sum up this film. Like, it's got a great paced... like a great fast-paced sort of soundtrack that the film can never catch up to.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. The soundtrack does make you feel like more significant things are going on. Like
100%.
It would fit in 2000, like the shit, like a Kubrick film or something.
Yeah.
But really, it's just kind of like a bad version of like, even worse version of Only God Forgives, or like, and there's also a little, there's maybe 8 lines of exposition in the film, and they do so much audio messing around, and like the kind of, it's a real disorienting experience. So there's like, this is kind of a spoiler but not a spoiler. Me and Matt watched it, and there was some kind of either like a biker gang in masks or aliens. We think, but we don't know.
Never explained, never told.
They might have explained it.
Does it make it better that they didn't explain it?
I think they did, and I think we just couldn't. I honestly think we missed it during that bit, like, because again, there was so many effects on the audio.
Well, it does say what they specifically are, but then they're just not what is described as.
There's a little thing, discussion about tainted LSD, which absolutely triggered me no end, where it's like, oh yeah, this guy cooked up a batch of tainted LSD, and it's what made them all mental. And it's just like, it's not like, it's not like giving someone food poisoning that you're like, oh, I'll add some vinegar to this LSD and it'll make everybody go mental.
It's going to make it pop.
Like, it's not the way it works. Also, Nicolas Cage takes some LSD and just has like the most, immediately goes into like a very fast visual trip, which is just not, it was just kind of a lot of little detail annoyed me where you could tell. I think this kind of...
I love how you're more hung up on the drug stuff than
it's the visual
a specific
stuff.
bit. Okay, I'm going to spoil one bit.
Okay.
Where... like, the perspective looks as though Nicolas Cage has been captured and that he's in this, like, room kind of all alone and stuff. Well, there's a guy in front of him, sorry. And he kind of baits him to come over. And Nicolas Cage kind of manages to break free. And he hits him to the side. And then the next shot just shows that there's a massive hole next to him. Don't know how, because it's
Darth
inside.
Maul style.
Yeah, Darth Maul style.
The guy just goes flying down.
He just goes flying down this black hole, and it's like...
But
there was no explanation.
Yeah.
There's no build up to this bit. It's like, what the hell is going on?
We both immediately reacted because we were like, one shot where they just needed one like.
And there was an establishing
There was
shot
3 shots
after
point. The fall where they perfectly showed the room with the actual pit next to him. But for some reason beforehand, they just showed him in kind of much closer proximity, so you couldn't see there was a pit. So you were just disoriented, and that moment had no impact.
Which
because you weren't thinking about it.
Also takes you massively out of the film.
There was a few moments of that where we were like, why didn't you set that up visually beforehand so then that would have some impact?
Exactly.
And it's like, I appreciate that the other side of it is that you don't tip your hand and then it has more impact. But it didn't work that way because it just wasn't shot that cohesively when those moments did happen. Like, you were still always a bit like, what the... like, just looking at, like, because everything's either completely dark or, like, some weird fluorescent red or orange.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't watch it. In summation.
Sorry, Nick Cage. I'm going to try and bring you up at some point, but I don't think I'm going to get any
It's
more.
also, it really
I'm
upset
not going
me.
to be given the recommendation ability now from Dill.
Well, we both were talking about this because we feel like we might have, like, you said this, like, have we lost our mojo? Because this and Hereditary Hereditary, sorry, are
Yeah,
two films that
Hereditary.
have recently come out, which have been critically like very well
Both in the same
acclaimed.
year.
Oh, were they?
Yeah,
2018. You're right.
both
Yeah,
2018.
and just we didn't get. I just thought they were bad. I just thought they were trying too hard, and like there was kind of, even if it was like visually interesting and it had the right kind of, do you know, a certain amount of mystery just makes people think something's much better than it is, because you're like, oh, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't mean anything. But this one had like, this was even more overt with like the cliched story that's not meant to mean anything about her dad making a killing animal. And it's like, I've seen Hannibal, I've seen 1,000 things where the stories like the kid's parent made them kill an animal when they were a kid and it messed them up. Like, there was just nothing original about this. They tried to do it somewhat with the lighting and the effects.
Have you ever seen a chainsaw fight?
Oh,
I don't think I've ever seen a chainsaw fight.
not since I was in secondary school. Mean streets of Old Trigger.
Oh yeah, those mean suburbs.
mean suburbs. Yeah. No, it was just, honestly, it's weird. Maybe we're losing our mojo. But I honestly just feel like
No,
I know
thought
when
it
a
was
film
fine.
reaches for something and hits it.
Yeah.
And for me, it just didn't. It didn't have any kind of impactfulness. I was just so bored because the pacing was so poor.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it wasn't like it was like
Even
cleverly
building to
stuff.
anything.
Exactly.
Or not even building to anything interesting.
No.
It just wasn't. There was no
No.
real payoff for it.
was bad.
It's like we could go into like some of the themes that they talk about, because they talk about pornography at the beginning, and then it kind of cuts off, and then you kind of see all these phallic symbols throughout. But I'm not going to go into that because I can't be arsed.
No, it's
It
not
doesn't
worth
deserve our time.
No, it's
So
genuinely not.
It doesn't deserve my breath.
Okay, so Mandy, shit.
Yeah,
We'll move
don't
on.
watch it. Do you have a recommendation? We might as well do it now.
Do you want to do my recommendation now?
Yeah. Might
Okay,
as
well, I was kind
We're
of
mixing it up. We usually do this at the end. But
yeah. I was jumping up and down with this. I was choosing different films. I ultimately decided I wanted one that was on a streaming service, and I didn't want a, because a lot of mine are kind of from 1950, like, you know, it's films that I want a kind of old but respected established classics, like On the Waterfront and stuff like that, that I just think you should, like, I want to watch again and I want you to watch.
Yeah.
But I thought with what's going on now as well, I wanted to, no, I've not done
Okay.
Contagion. It's actually nothing to do with what's going on now, but I just mean, I wanted to watch something more recent, which has got a bit more of a kind of, it's talking about kind of cultural issues, which are kind of not necessarily directly pertinent right now, but just interesting general issues with like identity and kind of what gentrification and a lot of these kind of things that we don't talk about that much and aren't addressed that much in kind of cinema, but are interesting topics. And also, this film's structurally, it's done a lot with rap. There's two main characters, Taveed Diggs, was in Hamilton and stuff. Anyway, the film's called Blind Spotting. It's on
Okay.
Netflix. It's from 2018, and I have seen it before, and I did like it. It's an hour and 30 as well, which is always a positive, and a 15. But I remember seeing it, and I remember a couple of scenes having a real impact with me. I think when they're talking about the sense of community and the kind of, which I think I do kind of feel that quite close to home, with the fact that, like, just growing up as well, there is, you know, the way that these certain kind of areas are, where it's like everyone knows everybody, someone's kids will be in someone's house kind of having lunch, and like I like that kind of, that then being in danger with cities kind of looking to kind of, you know, open up outwards and just take up more and more real estate, and kind of losing that side of it, the kind of purer, those people have been there forever. So I thought Blind Spotting would be a film where it'd give us kind of more to talk about, and also I'm just curious to see, I think as well with a film kind of as ambitious as this, sometimes it takes a second or a third watch for you to really root in on like how successful is it, what worked, what didn't work.
Okay.
And I kind of want to look at it again and just be like, why did certain stuff hit with me? I also really like the two lead performances, and I didn't think I would like the white, that'll be blatant, the white guy doing the whole rap thing, like, you know, that's usually kind of and his kind of character identity being the white guy born in the project, so he's got to try and act tough, and that character's been done badly, often for comedic effect, so many times that I was like, I just don't want to see him be a cliche.
Okay.
But it very much didn't, because again, that's a real thing in the world, where it's like situationally kind of that when you're a kid, or when you kind of grow up together, the situations matter more than the way things look and the way things are, and like kids from all sorts of cultural backgrounds will bond because they're in the same kind of boat of like, parents want us out the house, we'll go back for dinner, but like all of these kind of things. So I think it kind of hits on a lot of themes in a different way to that film, but kind of more effectively, and I'm curious to see kind of what you think of it, and what you think kind of hits well with you and what doesn't with you compared to us with the kind of different ways we've grown up and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So yeah, Blind Spotting. It's on Netflix. It's not as long a film for all of us with our 10-minute attention span now. So I thought I'd start off with something hopefully which we can get into, and then in a week or two I'll start giving the 2 hour 30-minute black and white films from that are just gonna make anyone watching try and really crave watching Rick and Morty or something.
Which I'm very much looking forward to coming back. But anyway, I digress. So we've kind of skewered up the...
Yeah, we've messed up the order. But I mean, to be fair, this gives us a lot of time to just really... Now we can just go deep on... Because our scenario this week...
I've still got to talk about my hot take yet.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about your hot take. Okay, right. Matt's
do you
hot
want
take.
the one that's to do with what we're going to be talking about? Or do you want the
Whatever
one
you're more comfortable with.
All right, I'll do the one that's to do with what we're actually talking about today.
Cool.
Which is Scooby-Doo. And my hot take about this film specifically is I think it's the most faithful adaptation of anything ever.
Including books. So, wow, anything ever. Okay. I'm trying to think of some things to compete, but what makes you say... And by adaptation, do you mean from the TV series?
Yeah. I think it manages to capture all the essence that was kind of laid out throughout any of the series and any of the properties that have been done around that sort of idea beforehand, and managed to put it into a film and just capture that spirit, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting because a lot of the stuff that's come into my mind in kind of other names to float for this question tend to be books, and they're tending to be ones that are more, the kind of books that are so structurally difficult that people are like, oh, I don't even know how that could be made into a film.
Yeah.
So, for example, Memento, I think, is a good one. Although I think that's a kind of a cheat because his brother wrote the book and his brother wrote the screenplay. But Memento is from a short story that his brother wrote, and I think it's really kind of impressive that was got to screen. I mean, I'm just thinking of the kind of things that, the problem is, a lot of them have been done poorly for those more ambitious stuff like Cloud Atlas and stuff like that.
And even the Harry Potter films, anyone who's a fan of anything where it's kind of been adapted into something, it's always just kind of not hit the mark, really. There's a certain scene that's missed or a character that's not as people envision. Yeah. Whereas when you've kind of looked at Scooby-Doo and the whole history of it, you can see that these characters are very clearly representations of, even when there've been different animations and when there have been different people playing the characters, it's well, this is that type of person. Yeah. And this is how they are in this film. And special shout out to Matthew Lillard as Shaggy.
He's
he
great.
Absolutely nails it. And especially back then, they didn't have anyone to play off against either.
Yeah.
There's no big man going around in a big green costume and stuff. It's just
true.
Him shouting and talking to
tennis
nothing.
Ball on a stick at the most. That probably would have been what it was. But no, that's interesting because to me, I think Scooby-Doo is a lot easier than most things because it isn't about the source material. It's not like it's not like you've got a story you need to try and match, because the problem with taking a story from a book to a film is pure time. You can't get as much on screen as you can get in a book in that much time. But because Scooby-Doo is kind of, you're given this canon of characters and then you just get to chuck them in different situations all everywhere, I think it's kind of easier to have a faithful adaptation because you're not looking for well, did they get the mystery right? You're just looking for, did the people fit? And did they hit the vibe that they were going for with the TV show? There's a certain amount of stakes with no stakes, and with there's a kind of mystical world versus real world thing going on, and it's interesting as well because also the kind of classic criticism of the Scooby-Doo TV show is that it's always the second person you're introduced to, right? It's always a second, they tell you the obvious person,
which is true.
Exactly. That's where I was getting to. So I was I can't see how they've actually kind of followed the whole formula all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's definitely an interesting one. I think it's definitely part of the fact that makes it easier for us to do this question, which is where we're going to try and transplant 4 other characters to replace.
Oh yeah, so can I talk a little bit more into?
Oh yeah,
we'll do that after that. Sorry.
Yeah, kind of why it helps with this scenario is I think why it's easier to make an adaptation of it, because it isn't about the story, it's about the people, and you can just kind of follow them in whatever vague situation you put them in. But it's about the people and about the kind of energy you get from it. I'm trying to think of a similar example, but no, go on. What are you thinking?
No, I was in terms of your term point there. Sorry, I'm trying to now think of a couple of more different things that have the same sort of adaptation idea. First thing that comes into my head are the Flintstones. which, funnily enough, is another Hanna-Barbera production.
Yeah.
And I think that nails it quite well, actually. But obviously, I don't think it's as done as well.
Do you know
Maybe I have a little bit of a bias because
Yeah.
I do love these films and I love the cast. But now I'm just trying to think if there's any other.
I've got a controversial one that I think might actually.
Oh, okay.
And again, I think at the time people might have argued with me, but I'm thinking American Psycho, because I'm actually in the middle of reading it, and as a book, like, it's incredibly, again, there's these people, it's well known that there's like chapters where he's just kind of like describing a new, like, the Huey Lewis record, and every time he meets a person he goes through their entire wardrobe and the brands, and it's all a kind of point about that the kind of culture there, where everything's kind of about the way you look and what you display, the wealth you display and everything. But when you read that book, it's like, and a lot of those kind of Chuck Palahniuk type books, it's how do you convey that intense?
I was going to say Fight Club would be another one.
Yeah,
so
it's basically, it's a really intense deep dive into someone's mind unraveling, and trying to convey that in a film is a real hard line. Here's another controversial one: The Godfather, better film than the book. There's not many times when the adaptation to the cinema is better than the original source material. And
There's
the
just
Godfather
a whole thing we have to go through.
The Godfather book is kind of admittedly fairly average. Like, it's kind of, apparently it's, you know, it's authentic, but it's not like a special book. Whereas, you know, the film's kind of, its legacy is one to be debated, but it's obviously got a real place in the kind of pantheon. It's on the kind of Mount Rushmore of cinema. So I think it's a really interesting discussion point, the kind of, because it's also what's a better adaptation, a more faithful adaptation, or a more enjoyable end product, or something that feels more like the original thing.
See, I feel like you have to kind of hit all those levels. Like, you have to get it faithful enough for it to be enjoyable. Because if you don't hit the right sort of notes of the characters and the people that you know from either books or the TV series, and that's not adapted right and put into this film, then you're not going to enjoy it as much.
Yeah, but this is the thing, is like, I'd still think, so The Colour of Money was a film Martin Scorsese made, like, as one film for the studios, and it's got Paul Newman and Tom Cruise in it, playing snooker, basically. They're like pool hustlers. And it's kind of an unofficial sequel. It's officially...
Hustlers, sorry.
Hustlers. It's officially IP. Like, it was, I think, what was the film called? The film might have actually been called The Hustler. It's based off an earlier film. But there was no real link between the two worlds. It was just Disney owned that, and Scorsese had to do a film for them, so he just kind of took that IP but made his own film. But it's like, to kind of, I still think anything's going to be judged. It can actually be a bit of a crutch, even, like, being judged as part of as an adaptation rather than an independent kind of original thing. Another one that came to mind as well, by the way, just generally, is Atonement, Revolutionary Road. There's a lot of those kind of like deep novel ones that had like a kind of, like, The Reader. There was like a spree. The English Patient is another one with Ralph Fiennes. So it's a kind of, it's a long discussion. A lot of films can come up, but I like the idea
Pandora's box into something else entirely.
I know, but I think definitely in kind of in terms of character representation, they've definitely got the most kind of on point visual. Like, when you look at them, you're like, oh yeah, it's the gang. Like,
it's the gang. It's the Scooby gang.
They do nail it with the people. Which
is a great transitional point for us to go into what we're actually talking about this week.
Cool.
Sorry, I saw it and I took it.
No, yeah, we fucking love a segue here.
We do love a segue. So our mission this week, we were tasked to try and come up with characters from other films that we could put into the roles of the characters that are in Scooby-Doo. So it's like, well, we're going to go into some of them, but we've got Fred, Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and we couldn't replace Scooby. No. So Scooby from the film is going to be with the people that we see in these films. Shall we start off with Fred?
Yeah, we'll go with the boss first of all.
Big boss.
So in terms of, like, just to briefly go over what kind of thing I was thinking. First of all, I tried to think of it in terms of what their actual function is as a gang. So they're meant to go around, travel in this van together, and solve crimes. They need to be able to deal with some kind of supernatural elements, because this is going on. They need to be able to tolerate being around each other a lot, is another part of my thinking, because, you know, they travel around in a van together. can't have two kind of. It's a weird kind of stakes world as well. So it was trying to get everything to kind of match up whilst fitting these in. Eventually, I ignored the stakes thing because I came up I came up with a theme which I preferred. So
Do you know what my theme is?
Go on.
They're all around their early 20s.
Okay. My theme is a certain director, but we'll get it before long.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll give you my first Fred to kind of start with, just to kind of get the ball rolling. A nice pure pick is Edward Bloom, who is Ewan McGregor's character in Big Fish.
Okay.
So very positive attitude. He kind of that's kind of his thing throughout his life, that he never kind of gets his head down. Very kind of open-hearted and loving. He makes friends wherever he goes. Everything from like mermaids to giants.
Okay.
So he's going to be great to kind of be around.
Okay.
I think he's kind of got that leader element to him as well. And the kind of, creative, the open thinking. He's not going to be messed up by all the demons and stuff because he's best mates with a giant or whatever.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, I think it's that was my kind of first kind of clean, pure pick for Fred.
Okay, right. Okay, do you go back and forth? Right?
Yeah, give me your Fred.
Okay, so the first one I've got here is Teddy Sanders, which is Zac Efron's character in Neighbours or Bad Neighbours or whatever it's called, the one with Seth Rogen.
Okay.
Which, funnily enough, Zac Efron is actually going to be playing Fred in an animated version that's coming out later this year.
Oh, no.
Which I found out after that, which is, I think that's a good pick. But, yeah, like, he's smart. Like, he's enough to, like, be the leader of an actual gang and to be coordinated to take action against his neighbor. He's very attractive.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot more sex in Scooby if
Zac Efron is,
Zac Efron's driving him.
But yeah, no, I thought he'd be like a good leader type to be kind of the spearhead of this gang.
Okay.
Plus, to see him like with some frosted tips, because I couldn't see him fully blonde. But if you get some frosted tips in there, go on, son.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a second one. This is okay. So my next one is Beast, who is Nicholas Holt's character in X-Men.
Okay.
The big blue monster.
Yeah.
Because for one, what's the point in having a human, like a poxy little skinny blonde dude?
Because
when I could have
character.
No, because it's Fred. He just needs to be the leader of the gang. So what? I'll just put him in like a kind of what are those jackets called? Like a leather.
Straight jacket.
A Letterman jacket. No.
Oh,
okay. Like Fred wears and stuff. Go in disguise. Also, he's still human sometimes. Nicholas
he actually
Hoult
permanently makes himself human at one point.
Well,
so I suppose you could have that.
I want him to transform. I just want the first time there to be like like a little ghost or something, some dude in a sheet. Fred to just go like, and then just like chuck him through a wall. So that's my second, slightly joking, but also
just
changes the game.
He is an ace of spades right there.
I know.
Okay, so I've got Eric Molson, which is Dave Franco's character in 21 Jump Street. Again, another classic character, kind of like, he's still a leader of his, he's smart enough to kind of be ahead of the cops at one point, because he figures out that, well, he kind of does.
Yeah.
He's got his own kind of crew that he's repping. So Again, another classically handsome sort of, I can see him being the Fred character. I can see them all in, like, the white jumper and the ascot.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Because these are all, like, I'm still trying to stick to all these young sort of guys, and I reckon they could still pull off just coming out of high school. Yeah.
My next, I did actually go back to kind of a younger type of one when I was thinking with Fred. I thought of Chucky, who is Ben Affleck's character in Good Will Hunting.
Thank God, I thought you were going to say Chucky.
Not actual Chucky. Not actual Chucky. Chucky's Ben Affleck's character in that film, who I think is that, again, he's the kind of unspoken leader of that gang. And I, he's got the kind of his speech to Matt Damon about, if I wake up and you're here every day, I wake up and I hope you're not going to open that door. Like, that's being a leader to my mind. That's like, you've got to look out for the individual welfare of the individual. So like, and also, if I'm having him as Chucky, I want to chuck in Casey Affleck as Morgan to be Shaggy, just because I want the Affleck brothers. Casey Affleck with, I know we're going to go to Shaggy properly, so I've got actual Shaggy picks.
Yeah.
But just whilst we're in the Good Will Hunting universe, I was like, he's kind of perfect for it. And it's also kind of funny to have an actor with that kind of credentials and like the career he's got since then to just basically play like a kind of dopey stoner, which he did really well in Good Will Hunting. So
I have a theme for Shaggy. I just realised that. It doesn't match anything that I've already done so far.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll stick to Fred first.
Yeah.
I've got a final.
I've only got one left. Yeah.
Oh, you've got 4. Okay, I've only got one more left, which is Marty McFly.
Ooh.
And Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future.
I like that.
Yeah, another confident leader, can adapt to new situations while like always being way over his head. So put him in situations where he's got to try and figure stuff out, like trying to lead some other people as well. I think he'd do great.
He's got kind of the cool factor too.
Yeah, plus he drives the what's the thing called? What's the thing?
What do you mean, the DeLorean?
The DeLorean, that's it.
Okay.
I was like, it begins with Z.
I
No,
think
that's the guy who fucking directed
drive a skateboard. And I was like, you mean ride?
No, but like Fred usually is the one who leads.
That's true.
Who drives the van.
That
as
is
well.
a good point. Okay, so
not that has to be a necessity, but it's a little.
No, that's fine.
Bonus point.
If you had to pick one, would you pick? Do you know which one you'd pick, or are you happy?
I'd pick Teddy Sanders.
Is he the one? Is he your number one?
Yeah.
Pick?
Plus, I like the kind of meta thing of him also actually still playing the character.
Okay. Well, my actual pick. I want Jules. Okay, this is throwing everything out the window, so you're not going to be happy about this. You already know where this is going. It's Jules Winfield. It's Samuel from Pulp Fiction. There's no other pick. I want him post-existential crisis. Do you know? Because he has the whole crisis, and he's like, "What do I do?" He kind of puts his energy
he's a
towards
walker of the earth.
He puts his energy towards solving crime. He puts a crew together. This is a prequel with Black Fred. And then we get, and this, by the way, is my theme, because then I end up with a new Tarantino universe Scooby Doo gang.
Oh my!
Which
God,
is what we're going to get
amazing.
into.
Right. Okay.
Cool. But Jules is my leader.
Oh wow!
I follow him. He's got the charisma. He's got everybody. You believe him, and he's now got the morals.
Okay.
So that's my beginning. It's a Pulp Fiction sequel.
If I can help with
the end of Pulp Fiction is the beginning of Scooby Doo. Oh, I'm a genius.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got for Daphne. We'll go on to Daphne. I've got 3 here.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I struggled a little bit with some of these.
I only got 3 as well.
I've got MJ, Zendaya's character in the Spider-Man films.
Okay.
Because she kind of blends well between like an empowered woman, but also a bit of a damsel in distress, which I feel she kind of nails that role in those films.
Okay.
Whereas like in the Scooby-Doo film with Sarah Michelle Gellar, which wasn't awakening for me.
Yeah. Okay, that's not getting into too much detail. I was always a Velma guy.
Well, maybe now.
But
anyway, yeah, like in that film, she kind of goes from damsel in distress to the person who kind of is helping save everyone, because she makes an active effort to, learn martial arts and try and be like one step ahead and stuff. And I feel like MJ could be that character in these films.
Do you know what my counterpoint would be though? Is I actually think she'd be a really good Velma, because one thing her character kind of gave off to me is she seemed like a very intelligent, like that. I don't know whether it's her or the character or whatever, but she seemed like someone bright. Like she gives that off to me. And again, the kind of slight social awkwardness, but kind of once you get to know her, she's much more kind of cheeky and stuff. Like she makes a very good Velma to me. And you've just absolutely freaked out because you had an idea. What's going on?
We've like if we're going off Teddy Sanders, which is Zac Efron, we've already seen these guys in a film together, and they made a great couple. They were in The Greatest Showman together. Zendaya and Zac Efron.
No.
I can already see this pairing going off.
Ruined the whole game. Why remind me? We've got a local cinema tours, which we had a membership card to go for, so we could go as much as we like. And any time a cool film would be in, a film I wanted to watch, it would be in the cinema for maybe in like an afternoon and a half. It was really annoying. Like if you didn't go at like 8 on like a Wednesday night, it was gone by the Friday. Whereas The Greatest Showman was on there like...
To be fair, that was in cinemas like all over the world.
Oh,
like
I know.
8 months,
but I mean, like even
ridiculous.
after it had gone, there were like sing-along showings, and like it was infuriating. Like, why can't anyone watch a film as an experience?
As the highest-grossing film of all time.
Oh my god, close in terms of what pisses me off. But anyway,
Daphne.
Okay, so my first Daphne pick, I was thinking, she's... One of the things I liked about her in Scooby-Doo is the whole martial arts thing, like you said, where she gets a bit more badass. And I was thinking about kind of, again, Velma's the kind of brains, Daphne's a bit more of the kind of physical side of it. She's got... And I kind of, with my Tarantino universe, Jules Winfield, Fred, like, I didn't really like the whole tension with her and Fred as much. So I wanted kind of 2 real adults in her. So the first name I was thinking of, Sarah Connor from Terminator 2.
Which one? Oh, the film.
Yep.
Okay.
So I want her.
Linda
rips.
Hamilton.
Yeah. I think she's, but again, she's got the tough side. But I like the kind of maternal element of her. She's got the son. She's still always kind of, she wants to make sure everybody's kind of healthy and safe.
Yeah.
But and the kind of, she's got the goodwill and the morals and all of that stuff. So my first,
I like that pick.
my first Daphne, Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton.
Just this isn't any of my things, by the way. So this isn't on my list. But Fiona would be a great from Shrek.
Oh yeah,
She got the red hair.
she does.
She knows how to beat people
She can
down.
definitely fight.
She was also the original damsel in distress.
This is true.
Damn it! I might have just
Good
made an
soundtrack.
great soundtrack.
Good sound.
Love
Okay,
that
cool.
film.
Next, Daphne.
Next, Daphne. Poppy Moore, which was Emma Roberts' character in Wild Child.
Okay, I don't think I've seen this, so this is going to have to be an all-new one.
Yeah, no. Like, I genuinely like this film. I'll say. I don't,
Is it like she's a kind of Miley Cyrus type person?
Don't think so. So basically, she's like this kind of stuck-up American who gets put into an English boarding school, and she kind of has to learn to, like.
Okay, this sounds like it'd annoy me.
Yeah, no, it's a rom-com.
Oh, okay.
But like, she's pretty smart. She's like, also I kind of put this in the mix because she was also in Nerve with Dave Franco, and Dave Franco was one of my other picks.
Oh,
for
I like
thingy.
the fact you're going for pairings.
I didn't mean to, but
Accidental.
that's why I had such a thing about MJ before with Zendaya. But yeah, no, I just feel like she could kind of play that damsel role really well, because I've kind of gone for more of that approach with my Daphne character, because I wanted to focus more on the smart, capable character with Velma.
Yeah, with my next one, might be the one I'd gone for if I hadn't decided on my Tarantino theme, actually. It's Katie Heron, Lindsay Lohan's character in Mean Girls.
Ah, okay.
Because, again, I like the fact that she kind of starts out very pure and innocent, and, you know, obviously she's kind of... That Lindsay Lohan at that time was a really charismatic actress, and, like, you know, she just on the Parent Trap, which is
She
really
had the world in
impressive.
her hands. What went wrong?
I know, and everyone loved her. But anyway, like, the fact that she's also got the arc of, like, at the end, she's a little bit more worldly, and she knows how to play the game and kind of manipulate people and stuff like that. And I like a little bit more of a kind of crafty Daphne in mine.
Crafty
And
Daphne.
I just think Lindsay Lohan kind of would have been a great...
Oh, she'd have
would have been a
nailed
great
that,
Daphne
yeah.
in her day. So, you know, kind of a little bit of a sad moment, thinking of a different universe where she didn't just go and, like, service Saudi sheikhs.
This podcast is a place where we can just
Imagine
live in those universes.
Imagine
So,
she
I
never
know.
discovered cocaine.
I know. God damn it. But speaking of characters,
I think they say, speaking of cocaine.
yeah,
Speaking of cocaine,
Johnny
then it
Depp
just goes
from Blow.
beep. We just come back and we're like, "Hi guys, we're doing a filter. We're going to get down for it." No, we're not going to do that podcast.
We're not going to do that podcast.
I'm already like that, basically.
No, you're not that bad.
I used to be.
All right, my last Daphne. I've got Elle Woods, which is Reese Witherspoon's character in Legally Blonde.
Oh shit!
Because she just gets herself out of those bad situations. Again, you're talking about someone who can kind of get themselves out of those situations. She really gets in this, like, way in over her head with this sort of thing, but she focuses and she, like, breaks everything down, and she manages, like, she uses her femininity to actually solve the case.
Yep.
And is, like, you know, an esteemed member of whatever place she's a part of. But she solves the case. So
Yeah.
she, again, more of a... I know she's a lawyer, but she's also kind of a detective.
Yeah, actually, kind of a lot of what you just said there kind of applies to my last one, my defining pick, my last Tarantino Daphne, who is Bridget von Hammersmark, who's Diane Kruger in *Inglourious Bastards*.
Okay.
So she was the spy. This is the thing, is it's kind of ironic because by the end of the film, she's kind of teamed up and she's got killed for it because of Michael Fassbender being an idiot.
I've never seen the film.
Well, I don't. Well, technically, she didn't get killed for that.
It's
but
fine. It's been
anyway.
11 years. I should have watched it by now.
Yeah,
Anyway, go on.
exactly. Yeah, it's also yeah, exactly. Everyone watched it first time round. But basically, she was a famous actress, and she ended up working as a spy for the right side, and then she gets caught because of when she kind of teams up with Michael Fassbender, two directors. But she's kind of got the glamour in spades. She's got the ability to manipulate people. She's an actress and a spy, which is like, you know, could you be any more perfect for this kind of mystery solving stuff? So I actually think Bridget's going to crush it, and she might end up kind of taking some of the leadership role from Fred, which I'm down with. Jules can kind of chill and just mope in the corner and think, you know, go on deep philosophical tangents like I do.
Yeah.
And she can kind of guide them along their way.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my Daphne, Bridget.
That's your big pick. I'm going to go with MJ. Because I do like that connection.
Okay, I like it. We going Velma next, or we going Shaggy?
Velma!
Velms!
The Velmster.
The Velmster.
Okay, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can do if you like, don't mind.
Okay. I hope you've not got this one. But the smartest girl that I can think of in any other films, especially around this age, is Hermione Granger.
She was on the list.
Yeah.
She was my number 3 or 4.
Yeah, you know, she's the one who always comes up with a plan. She always figures out what's happening before anyone else. I think she'd be a great Velma.
She's a good team player too.
Yeah, exactly.
She's a good gal. Also, anyway, let's not go on that tangent. I was about going a whole her and Ron tangent, but we don't have time for that.
Fuck that.
I like that pick though.
I don't like that convenience thing. But anyway.
Similar age thing actually, although 10 years younger. My first Velma pick was Lisa Simpson from the Simpsons movie.
Oh yeah, you got it. I was wondering how you're gonna make that.
Exactly.
Very.
I did
clever.
actually only to think about that till right now. But no, again, she's very bright. She's a team. She's you know, I think Lisa's aching for that kind of. She needs that crew. Like as a real person, Lisa is kind of feels to me like the kind of girl who like kind of a bit too bright for everyone else. And then she goes to college or uni or whatever and kind of finds her people. And this gang to me is her people. Like
also, she is also the kind of Velma of the Simpsons family.
Yeah, it felt like a very kind of obvious number 1 pick for me. Like if I was kind of first thing that came to mind, but I didn't want to miss her. And you know, I absolutely love the Simpsons, and I'm scared I'm going to end up watching the whole thing on Disney Plus during this quarantine. So I just thought I'd give her my shout out.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick.
Cool.
I love that pick. For my second Velmster, I've got Olive Pendergast.
Okay, nice.
She's Emma Stone in Easy A.
Great film.
Yeah, love that film. Easily the smartest character in the film, always one step ahead, plus any excuse for Emma Stone.
Yep, great pick.
That's
pretty
all
much
I've
pretty
got.
simple.
Yeah.
She does kind of fit the Velma thing. I've got 2 more. I'll give you my...
Though, sorry, just real quick, I
Yep.
think Emma Stone could also play a great Daphne. But
Yeah.
I chose Olive Pendergast because I thought she'd be a better Velma.
I think she'd enjoy playing Velma more as well, acting like I know her. But I just mean like, as looking at choices
You and
she's
M.
made and stuff.
You know Em.
I mean,
You love Em.
I wouldn't be here if I knew Emma. What's it? Emma Stone, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go. This would have been my first pick, but again, credit. I've got to follow the Tarantino thing. It's Marge Gunderson, who is Frances McDormand's character in Fargo.
All right.
So
okay.
obviously going a little bit too old there, but I started to think about maybe again. I've probably spent too long in lockdown, but I've kind of gone into like I've needed parental figures for mine, and I really think Marge, like she's about to have a kid. She's very
Showing some scars here.
she's very
bro.
caring and nurturing. I want someone on that van who's gonna like make sure they all eat properly. And like, because if it was just, you know, skipping meals, you know what people in their 20s are like. We need someone with a bit of maturity who's going to make sure everyone stays healthy and pays their bills on times.
Me.
Think about taxes and stuff. Like, yeah. So my I wanted Marge for Velma. She's very bright because she's a cop in that as well. So she's got that kind of thinking. And also,
Sorry, as soon as you said Marge, I was like,
I know.
Marge Simpson?
Yeah. One of the things I think is really beneficial and really crafty about her character, and something I like in general, is, you know, the whole thing about like smartest people don't want to show off that they're smart. They'll keep all the cards close to the chest. They'll pretend to be dim. Like,
Yeah.
she very much is good at, like, you don't realize she's as perceptive as she is. And so she'd be great for, like, you know, if I need to interrogate somebody, send a nice, friendly kind of southern lady in. She has a chat with him. If that doesn't work, then, you know, we send in, like, Lindsay Lohan or something to just kick the shit out of him. but I think she'd be super effective in that kind of more kind of adult role in the group. Adult in a clean way.
Yeah. Now, your description of her really leans into my next and final pick.
Okay.
Of someone who doesn't really want to show how smart they are, plus like being such a great, strong personality that can also clash with the leader of the group, which does happen in the Scooby-Doo film, which all boils down to Kat Stratford, who is Julia Stiles' character in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, Kat. I forgot. Stratford.
Just you've already said it right there, you know, just like someone who doesn't really want to show that they're actually as smart as they are, who's like the central person who's trying to figure out everything in that film. Plus, again, I reckon she'd be a great leader, which would bounce heads with whoever Fred is played by.
There's a lot of morality to her character.
Yeah.
But she's kind of very emotionally available too, and I think, you know, she can be a little tetchy to deal with.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping she matures a bit and she's now tolerable around the van. But no, I do like that pick. My final pick then, my last Tarantino, my Tarantino Scooby-Doo universe, which is Jules Winfield. We haven't done Shaggy yet.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, God, I thought we'd already done him. Right, I am all over the shop. I was about to just ruin... I was about to give
We've got
him-
Shaggy last, because Shaggy's the best.
I was about to give a massive spoiler. Okay, my actual pick for Velma is Jackie Brown from the film Jackie Brown. So, so for one, she's used to being around different people. I'll do a quote from the trailer here. What do a stewardess, a gun runner, a bail bondsman, an ex-con, a federal agent, and a beach buddy have in common? And it's Jackie Brown. Because they're all chasing that $500,000 cash.
Hey.
And again, I was going with the whole maternal thing again. She's kind of, 40-something. She looks after people. She's very kind of caring and open-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got a bit more of the kind of, I still want someone with a bit of kind of, who's actually lived in the real world. And like, these idiots are just going around in a van. Like, someone's got to be saving their money for them. Or like,
Gotta stay in a hotel once
getting
in
them
a
in a
while, get that
nicer,
shower in
doing
there.
their washing. Like, they just little things like that. So she's kind of the mum of the group, is Jackie Brown.
Okay.
And now we can move on to our fave.
Shaggaroo, the Shagster, as Shaggy Rogers. I can't remember what his real name is.
No.
Norman?
Sherbet.
Wait, I have to figure this out before we go
Sure.
any further, sorry.
Shall I give my first pick while you figure it out?
I'm pretty sure it's Norman.
It might be. I'm not
Norman
positive.
Shaggy Rogers. Hang on.
Is that actually it? Norman
We're
Rogers.
gonna...
How is it taking you this long?
I know.
I'm doing it too.
Norville! God damn it, I was
Norville.
close. Yeah,
Jesus,
Norville
Norville.
Shaggy Rogers.
Norville's terrifying.
It is a little bit. Okay, so, do you want to go first?
Okay, yeah, Shaggy. So I've got 3 picks. I'll give you they're a bit quicker this time. My first one, Samwise Gamgee, Lord of the Rings.
Ah!
Just because I think he needs a break. I mean, let the guy smoke a bowl. He's had to basically babysit this dude across a continent for like years and years. So I just want him to be able to chill, sit with the dog, like let someone else
Figure
take
out
all the
some crimes every
responsibility.
now and there.
Yeah, but like again, he can just kind of, and God knows he's kind of low maintenance enough. Like he's an absolute cook. so Samwise is a pretty perfect Shaggy to me.
Sorry, just to like cut across real quick. I reckon Pippin would be a good one.
Yeah, well,
the
those
other one,
two are already
because they
stoners,
can
Merry
also
and Pippin.
eat as hell,
And
like, as much as they could.
It's legit in the book as well that they were like getting high whilst the battles were going on and stuff. So I can see that Merry and Pippin would be a pretty good substitute. They can come visit, but we've got Sam in the gang.
We got Sam and the gang. Right, okay, mine are a little bit all over the place, and some of you have to kind of imagine certain things.
Okay.
Okay, but I'll go for my most realistic pick out of these, I guess, which would be Seth, which is Jonah Hill in Superbad.
Okay, took me a second there. I was
There
like, Jonah Hill? Jonah Hill? Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
sort of stoner character,
Mhm.
but he'd be grateful to have his best friend there with him no matter what the situation is. I reckon Shaggy'd be a great best friend to Seth in that film. Also, just get rid of Michael Cera in that film, put Scooby-Doo in.
I was going
It's
to
still the
say, well,
same
how can you
film.
pick Jonah Hill over Michael Cera? Because I feel like Jonah Hill's significantly more annoying in that film. Like, if I wanted someone in a gang, I'd want the Michael Cera character, not the Jonah Hill character.
But I reckon he's more of a Shaggy than
He's probably
Michael
more of a
Cera's
Shaggy.
character
I'll give
is.
you that. But I feel bad for Scooby.
It's
in
alright.
this
Scooby
universe.
loves him. Doesn't matter.
He'll have to grow up a little bit, but I like the pick.
Yeah.
I'll give you my second one, who I actually think would be great. And again, a little bit off character. It's Kumar from Harold and Kumar.
Okay. Yeah, I see the theme.
Yeah. And again, I think he's a little bit more kind of energetic and charismatic than Shaggy might actually be. But, I like Shaggy taking a bigger role. Bit of diversity is always good.
Mm-hmm.
So Kumar kind of very much fits in the stereotype as well. But again, he's a doctor, so he's bright, or he could have been a doctor, I can't remember. But yeah, I like the fact that he's also kind of got that brain. Plus, extended universities in house, he's another doctor.
Ah.
So, double doctor.
Double Doctor.
Can't hurt. Kumar.
Okay. So I've got this is a bit of a cheat because I've chose both characters, but you can imagine who you want. It's not my final pick. So I feel like I'm alright to say. It's Jesse or Chester, which is Ashton Kutcher, or Sean William Scott's character in Dude, Where's My Car?
Okay, so I've not seen that, so we're back with you.
Okay,
I
so
assume they're just idiots.
yeah, they're both idiots, both kind of funny stoner guys who could definitely keep up with Scoob and Shaggy's daily food and weed intake. Plus, they spend the whole film trying to figure out where their car is, so
Yeah.
they are detectives. They just manage to get there. Like, it takes them the whole film to get there, rather than everyone else figuring it out beforehand.
Yeah. My final pick then, my Shaggy, who might be my favourite one on the board.
Oh no, I've got 2 more picks.
No, it's
Sorry.
fine. You can keep going. I'll just give you mine now. It is Floyd, who is Brad Pitt in True Romance in the film Tarantino wrote but didn't direct.
Ah, okay,
So
that
in
one.
that film, Brad Pitt basically lies on a sofa for the entire film. The house is like people sticking up with shotguns. He's just absolutely unperturbed. It's a really fucking great, funny performance, and you can tell as it's become kind of Hollywood lore that basically that performance is Brad Pitt being Brad Pitt. Like, he just got stoned and lay on a sofa for hours.
Yeah.
And I think basically that element of it is perfect for Scooby. Also, just being able to have Brad Pitt in the gang, like, another disarmingly effective, like, just being able to have someone as good looking as Brad Pitt. I feel like I could just
No
send
matter
him
what
into
age
most
he is.
rooms with any people and just be like, find something out, and he'd just be like, hiya, could you let me know? And this like, yes. Because he's like superhuman. So
Alright.
I'm going with my final gang is the Tarantino crew. Jules Winfield as Fred. Floyd, Brad Pitt in True Romance. My Daphne's Bridget Van Hammersmark, Dan Kruger in Inglourious Bastards. And my Velma is Jackie Brown from Jackie Brown.
Okay.
Ages are kind of all over the shop,
A little
but we
bit.
can deal with that. But I just think we're getting a lot of... There might be a bit more chaos than we want, but some crimes are definitely getting solved. And some drugs are definitely getting, imbibed.
All right. Well, let me finish up with my last two Shaggies.
Go for it.
I've got Scott Brody, which is Alexander Pollock in Cats and Dogs.
Oh my god.
Now,
Wait, was he one of the humans?
Yeah.
I don't remember a single human being in that film.
He was the dog's best friend. Lou's best friend. The family who owns the main dog.
I remember the house. It looked like the Stuart Little house. Anyway, move on.
But yeah, like I think that kind of character also growing up with, like, my idea is that it's like him 10 years in the future.
Ooh.
So he's the same age as everyone else.
Okay.
So he's kind of grown up with Scooby and then is a part of the gang and stuff like that because he
like
can
it.
actually speak to the dog.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, there's some sort of...
Some weird
Yeah.
technology stuff going on.
Yeah, so I reckon they'd be a great pairing as Shaggy and Scooby.
I like that.
And then I've got one last one based on the same kind of premise of that, which is Ace Ventura.
Nice. Yeah, that works. That definitely works.
Yeah, just his, like, crazy energy levels. Like, he'd be all over the place with Scoob. Obviously, he's a detective.
I was going to say, yeah.
And he's trying to figure out stuff. I think he'd be a great...
Jim Carrey would do more than any Shaggy has done, or like all the Shaggies have done put together in like an hour. But it'd definitely be entertaining.
Shaggy's name.
Well, but I mean, the point of Shaggy is not to try hard, and the point of Jim Carrey is to try fucking way too hard. So that kind of tension is interesting.
Yeah.
But I think he can kind of do anything he puts his mind to. It'd be kind of hilarious to see the behind-the-scenes documentary, by the way, of either of our films.
Oh, I'd love
But the idea of like Jim Carrey trying to coexist, trying to pretend to be Shaggy with anyone else would be great. He'd be trying to get the dog stoned and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, for my final pick, I think I have Teddy Sanders as Fred, MJ as Daphne. I'm going to go with Olive Pendergast as Velma. And Scott. I'm going to have Scott. I think that's a wholesome relationship to have.
Nice.
Scott Brody in that film. There's my final Scooby gang. And we've been going for nearly an hour.
Yep.
Just like
I thought this would be a longer one. We had a few
Yeah.
non sequiturs. We usually try and... we kind of... Again, we're in a lockdown, so it's not like we have to stay on point.
Yeah, true.
We're not doing anything.
Okay.
But no, yeah, we've got more stuff coming out, so kind of usual plugs of please like, rate, and subscribe, all that stuff.
All
But
that bollocks.
especially keep an eye on our social media, because we're going to try and keep you updated. We're doing quizzes and little clips from our lockdown videos. So yeah, give us a follow, and we'll keep you entertained over the next however many months or years this is happening. It won't be that. We'll be
try.
fine. We'll be
Yeah.
able to go outside soon.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
Bye. Just end it there.
Why not?
See ya.
See you.